running B Street prepared configuration.
Super challenge.
Looks like Baker's going to get about a 1.5 second head start on the based on their downforce. Great job. It's been a lot of fun. And now we're going to see if we can parlay that into trying to knock out. Throws down a 587 reaction time on the right side. Perfect reaction time is a 500, so Lee Picone right there with his 587. Ian Baker getting about a 1.5 second head start as he's running that street-tired CRX, and Lee Picone doing the big burnout here as he pulled up into the staging lights, trying to get some heat in those Hoosiers in the B Street prepared M3. Working their way into the finish. Ian seemed to have an advantage, but then something happened as he made the final turn. He's off power, and Lee Picone comes through with a 1.1 second advantage. Something happened to Ian, it seemed like, as he made the final turn, and then never seemed to get quite back under power all the way through the finish. So Lee Picone is back first with a 1.068 advantage, and Ian will now move over to that right side. Second down, gets back about 3/10 with a better reaction time, but now he's got to get 7/10 out there in that Honda. I'm guessing here in the timing trailer that maybe that car slipped out of gear on him as he made the final turn heading to the finish. He won't make that mistake again, I'll bet. But he gets out of shape and takes out the final two cones at the finish lights. Lee had it covered on time anyway by 3/10 of a second. And a 1.4 margin of victory there for Lee Picone. So we got to get the course reset here on the right side, and then we'll be ready for these next two drivers. Our next two drivers are going to be Adam George running the ESP Mustang on the left side. His dial-in is a 31.256. Your SSR winner Jason Burns in the Corvette Grand Sport on the right, 30.381. Looks like our course is reset, so starter, we're ready. So this is your ESP winner in the left lane and your Superstock winner in the right lane. Adam George, his reaction time at 8:37, Jason Burns 7:37, so Jason a 10th better on reaction time, but Adam not only on that faster left side course, but he got a 9/10 head start based on dial-ins. Jason looking for some heat, I'm sure, in those Corvette tires. He wants to reel in that Mustang. Left side's back first by quite a bit, 1.173, so almost 1.2 seconds the advantage for the Mustang, as Adam will bring the Ford up on the right side course with a 1.2 second advantage. Jason Burns now bringing the Corvette up on the left side, 1.2 seconds the time that he's looking to make up on that faster left side course. His work cut out for him. He's going to have to fly in that Grand Sport on the left side, and looks to me like Adam George is hanging right with him. That right side course is supposed to be slower, but not the way Adam is hauling that Mustang around as they work their way in towards the finish turn. right there at the finish, Jason Burns is going to survive because Adam George takes out the 2 cones at the finish line. And Jason Burns takes the victory with the cones down on the right side on the Mustang. So Adam had it covered on raw time, but the 2-second penalties for each cone that he hit on the right side is going to give the victory there to your super stock winner. So we got the course reset, and now we have on the left side your SRR winner in the A-Stock Corvette, Tony Savini. Dylan is a 31.276. Right side for Shane on the right side, 31.786 for Shane in the STR Mazda. Starter, we're ready. It's a half-second head start for that street-tired Mazda in the right lane, and a 5:10 reaction time for Shane. So wow, nice reaction time for him on that right side lane. Tony, in the meantime, on the left side, a 6:68 reaction time in that Corvette. So Tony giving up a 1/10 and a half on reaction time and a half-a-second head start to that Mazda. But let's see what Tony can do. Looking for some heat in the Hoosiers on the left side. Street tires on the Mazda on the right. Left side, no, Shane is back first. That was close, but it's a 1/10 of a second advantage for Shane as he moves over to the left side. So a 1/10 of a second advantage now for Shane as he moves over to the left side course. Tony going to bring the Corvette up on the right. Shane throwing down that really nice 5:10 reaction time, and Tony having the 6/10 reaction time. So now they switch over, and a 1/10 of a second the difference between these two drivers. .562 for Shane, Tony a 579, so pretty much equal on reaction times. Seemed like Shane's Mazda bogged a little bit though. He got a jump and then it just kind of sat there. We're going to see if that hurt his 60-foot times enough to give Tony a shot here. But Shane is on that faster left side course, and Tony's, oh, but we got a cone down on Shane now. So now Tony is the one with the advantage. He doesn't know it, so he's got to get through this finish clean. But he does. Shane gets back by 15 thousandths of a second, but a cone down on Shane is going to give the victory to Tony Savini. So Shane had it covered on raw time by 15 thousandths, but a cone is going to give the victory to the Corvette, and he'll move on to the next round. We get that reset in here, and we got our next two drivers up to the line. A couple S2000s, but not running the same setup. BSP on the left side for Steve. His dial-in is a 30.789. And then STR for Brian on the right side, 31.786. Starter, we're ready. The street tires on the S2000, he gets a 1 second head start based on dial-in. He gets a 6/10 reaction time. Left side for Steve, he's got a cone down on the left for Steve. He had a 7:55 reaction time. Now 2 cones for Steve on the left. And Steve running the B Street prepared version, so he's on the race tires, but obviously not quite enough heat in those as hung the tail out on that Honda and picked up 2 cones. Brian Carwin's back first anyway by a half a second, but with the 2 cones on Steve, it's going to be a 4.5 second advantage for Carwin as he takes the Honda over to the left side lane, and now Steve is going to look to make up for those 2 cones as he moves over to the right lane. So a couple of S2000s here, but one running the street tire configuration, the other one on the Hoosiers. And it looks like Steve has his work cut out for him, needing to make up 4.5 seconds. 5.70 reaction time to Brian 7.60. Brian not really needing to cut a super aggressive light. You certainly don't want a red light when you got a 4.5 second advantage. And Steve doing everything he can to try to make it up, but he's going to have Brian make a big mistake over there, which seems unlikely. Carwin running here a lot at FedEx Field, so certainly familiar with how his car handles on this side. And indeed, Carwin back first adds another couple tenths on to his margin of victory there. So Carwin had it covered on raw time and goes on to run against Savini in the next round. Next two drivers, we've seen this red Spider before, done very well in the challenge rounds, and Eric Peterson now looking to do equally well. His dial in 32.856, and then Bob Davis up in that BMW 32.382. Starter, we're ready. .565 the reaction time on the left side for Eric Peterson, running that E Street Toyota MR2, and then Bob Davis on the right side running that STX BMW. His reaction time was a 7.30. So Bob having to give Eric a half a second head start on dial-ins, and then he gives him another 2/10 with reaction times. Both of these cars on street tires. Oh, but we've got Workers running on the left side. Left side is back first by 1.7 seconds, but the cone, no cone on the left side, so Eric Peterson a 1.7 second advantage as he moves over to the right side. Workers just checking a cone that was wiggled, but they call it safe. So 1.7 the advantage for Eric as he brings the Toyota up on the right side, breaking out by just a half a tenth there on the left. Yeah, Bob knew he was quite a hole there at 1.7 seconds to make up, and then threw down a 319 red light, so I think he pretty much almost went on Eric's light there. Eric gets a 634 green light and will take the win with the red light on Bob on the left side. So Peterson's going to move on to the next round. And so we let those cars finish up their run. Let those cars finish. Okay, they are back, and Eric Peterson will move on to the next round in the Spider. And we'll get our next pairing entered into the computer here in just a moment. We're going to have an STR versus ESP pairing. Had offsetting cones there, but yeah, didn't matter with Bob's red light. So. Okay, so here's our next pairing. Nick Barbado on the left side running that Honda S2000. 31.786 is his dial-in. Karen Krause from E Street prepared in the Subaru. 31.256. Starter, we're ready. Side of 641 to Nick's 732. So Karen a tenth better on reaction time. Now she did have to wait there in that Subaru for a half a second while Nick Barbado took off in that Honda S2000. He's running an STR trim, so street tires on the Honda CR. But Karen Krause, a DC region regular here at FedEx, running that all-wheel drive Subaru on the Hoosiers. Nick is back first by 0.3 of a second. 0.3 the advantage for Nick as he moves over to the right side lane in that Honda. But now Karen Krause is going to have her shot in that faster left side course. 0.3 the advantage for Nick as he moves over to the right side. Got some 27:13. So 2/10. Karen gets back with the better reaction time. So she only needs another 10th, and she's on that left side course, which for most drivers has been a half a second better. So Barbado now would seem to be at the disadvantage. It's going to have to make that Honda fly on the right side course. Numbers in, Nick Barbado back first. How about that? 2.260. So despite the trouble on the launch, Nick does get that Honda back first by 0.260. So Karen able to make up just a little bit of the 3/10 she needed, but not quite enough there. Now we've got on the left side, coming from behind to take the win here in kart mod, Julian Garfield on the left, 27.516. He's going to sit there for an eternity as Andy Thomas in the Toyota Celica takes off with a 33.757 dial-in starter. We're ready. Yeah, that's 6 seconds a head start that Julian has to give Andy, as Andy's running that 2003 Toyota Celica on street tires on the right side. Julian had time to actually finish his pre-calculus homework in the left lane while Andy was taking off down the straightaway. And but he's also looking for some heat in those kart tires. Let's see, oh, they makes a turn about the same, and in fact, Julian gets back first by 39 thousandths of a second. So 39 thousandths is the advantage for Julian as he moves over to that right side course. A nice 5:33 reaction time for Julian to the 6:35 of Andy. But basically a dead even tie here between these two drivers. Julian just having a 39 thousandths advantage. And just doing anything you can to get some heat in those kart tires. Better than the 8:16 for Andy Thomas. So Julian extends his lead with the better reaction time. Now Andy Thomas in the street tired Celica on the left hand lane. I believe Andy, not only one of the local DC folks just like Julian, but Andy, you're a national champion in that G-Stock Celica. Oh, we got 2 cones down now on Julian, 1 cone on Julian, and Andy Thomas had it covered anyway by 23 thousandths of a second. So super close battle between those two DC region drivers, but 3 cones now on Julian, and it doesn't matter as Andy Thomas had it covered on raw time by 23 thousandths of a second.
Come on, Dave! Check the finish line! Finish line!
All right. Got the, looks like we're getting the course all reset, workers safely out of the way, so we'll bring up our next 2 drivers from STX in the left lane. That is Jeff Hurst in the Mazda RX-8. Took the win here in STX, coming down from New York by almost 0.2 of a second. Jeff's dial-in is a 32.382 in the right side for John Willeman from STU. In his Mitsubishi 31.943 will be his dial-in. So drivers, go ahead and stage up. We got the course all reset. And starter, we're ready. Time, but John Willeman, how about a 5:44 reaction time for him? So a better reaction time for John That all-wheel drive Mitsubishi leaping off the line, running STU against Jeff Hurst in STX, that Mazda RX-8. John Williman finishing second there in STU by just 42 thousandths. Oh, but Jeff Hurst is back first. We've got offsetting cones. We had a cone on the left for Jeff. We had a cone on the right for John. So offsetting cones, that means that Jeff Hurst has a 10.5 advantage as he moves over to the right side lane. A 10.5 advantage, 0.152 for the Mazda, as each driver had one cone out there on that run. Getting it staged there at the last second, but John unable to take advantage and in fact throws down a 3:38 red light. So automatic win there for Jeff Hurst in the Mazda. Last call for food. Thanks so much to the terrific catering we had here this weekend, but last call for the food vendor back there in paddock. So head on over here in the next 5 to 10 minutes if you with your last chance at some hamburgers and hot dogs there. So Jeff Hurst takes the win with the red light there on Williman, and he'll move on to the next round of the challenge against Andy Thomas. All right, we are halfway through our top 32, and we're looking for 8 more drivers to move on to the round of 16. Halfway through the first round here, getting the computer set. There we are, left side in the Mazda 2. Dialing is a 33.967, and then the Mitsubishi in the right lane, a 31.943. Starter, we're ready. Sit there in that STU Evo for 2 seconds while that Mazda 2 took off from the line. Street tired Mazda 2. It's your class winner in STF this weekend, Andre Rodriguez. And as they make their way into the finish, left side's back first by 76 thousandths of a second. Rodriguez is back first in the Mazda by 76 thousandths of a second. So Anthony Martell going to bring that Evo over to the left lane and needs to make up 76 thousandths of a second. Less than a tenth separating these two drivers. Unfortunately had a 76 thousandths advantage and jumped the lights a little bit too much. For 76 thousandths, not like you can afford to be leisurely on reaction times, but a little too quick on the trigger there. And as we let these two drivers finish up, we're going to have should be a good battle here. Second place in Superstock, Grant Reeve, only by the narrowest of margins there, 3 thousandths of a second. So dialing on the right side of the Corvette, 30.381 for Grant. And then for Jake Namer there, your SSM winner, dialing is a 29.653. Starter, we're ready. 174 for Jake on the left. So Jake up at the line in that Mazda RX-7 running Super Street Mod. Both of these drivers running Hoosiers. So we got a cone down on Grant. So Grant now making life difficult for himself with a cone down on the right side. Namer working his way into the final turn with the advantage, heading to the finish. But Grant gets it back first by almost 2/10, but a cone down on Grant gives a 1.8 second advantage to Jake Namer. So Grant was back first by 2/10, but a cone down on Grant gives Jake Namer the advantage now as he brings the Mazda up on the right side. 1.8 second advantage to the RX-7. Those drivers away. Jake Namer a 5:43, so not satisfied with a 1.8 second advantage. He throws down a 5:43 light. Grant Reed in the meantime a 6:83. So he needed to, he basically has to make up 2 seconds now as he's on that left side course. The cone, the difference between these two drivers at this point. Grant going it pretty good. He is back first, but not by enough. He only made up half of what he needed, which was still a nice drive. But Jake Namer will take the win due to the cone. Grant Reed had it covered on raw time, but Jake Namer with the cone going to move on to the next round. Let's pick up our next pairing. Left side, Aaron Shue from Street Mod. His dial-in is a 29.844, and then from STX, Jeff Anderson in that BMW dial-in is a 32.382. Starter, we're ready. Drivers away, 6:55 on the left, 7:95 on the right. So Aaron Shue, just Aaron with that 29.8 dial-in, was waiting 2.5 seconds while Jeff Anderson took off in that street-tired BMW. And Jeff finishing second there in STX by not quite 2/10 of a second. And we had Aaron Shue, your winner, by almost a half a second. Oh, cones down on the right side. Aaron Shue's back first by 9/10 of a second, plus 2 cones on Jeff Anderson. So it's going to be a 4.860 advantage for Aaron Shue. So 4.9 seconds the advantage for Aaron as he moves over to the right side course, with Jeff having cone trouble there right at the finish line. So 4.9 the advantage to Aaron on that right side course. Aaron, a 1.2 reaction time on those 2 cones that Jeff had. Jeff, in the meantime, doing what he has to do. You never give up in these challenge rounds. He throws down a 5:82 reaction time. So he's got to make up almost 5 seconds. But Aaron, a little leisurely there on the reaction time, gives up 7/10. Left side back first, but is it enough? It's not, as Aaron Shue able to more than cover that with the advantage that he had. So Aaron Shue going to move on to the next round. So this is going to bring up our next pairing with Jadish. It's getting late in the challenge rounds, and so Mr. Toussaint is up on the right side there in that awesome Boss Laguna Seca edition. His dial-in a 31.256, and then Brian in that Honda CRX on the left side, 30.387. Starter, we're ready. gives a head start on a Honda CRX, but it's not any ordinary Honda CRX over there. That is a street mod front-wheel drive Honda CRX there that Brian's running. Oh, but he has a big spin there right at the start, so Jadrees having quite the advantage now with the spin on Brian. 6:21 reaction time to a 6:58 reaction time. And now we've got a cone added to Brian's row on the left side. So Jadrees is back first by 6.4 seconds, plus the cone will make that 8.4 seconds due to Brian's spin there right off the straightaway. So the Mustang now with an 8.4 second advantage as Brian had a spin and then a cone. It'll make things tough for him to try to catch the Mustang. Go out there and make his run on that right side, see what he can do. You never know what might happen in these challenge rounds. A driver, 8 seconds are hard time to make up, but back to Jadrees, of course, back first. So covers in on raw time without the kills. And Mustang will go on to the next round of the challenge. Even with a cone or two on your first runs here, you bring it back up in these challenge rounds, you never know if that other driver is going to have some trouble themselves or hit a red light. And this brings up Eric Campbell on the right side, wearing that DSP BMW, finishing second today. His dial-in is a 30.030, and then Alejandro on the left side in the Honda Civic, 32.563. Starter, we're ready. Those drivers away. Eric Campbell, a 5:13 reaction time, really pressing the lights there in the BMW. Must be that big burnout he threw down over here. Helped him with that hookup, because 5:13 his reaction time. Alejandro a 7:43. So Alejandro, by the way, your class winner in STC Street Tire Civic on the left side, won that by 9/10 of a second. So nice job with Alejandro. And he is back first by almost 3/10 of a second is the advantage for Alejandro in that Honda. So 3/10 the advantage going to the Honda Civic, but now Eric Campbell, who had that 5:13 reaction time just a second ago, is moving over to that faster left side course, and Alejandro, he had that 7:43 reaction time, will move over to the right side course with a .283 advantage over the BMW. Eric Campbell away this time with a 6:02, and AJ on the right side with a 6:11. So pretty equal on reaction times. That means AJ with his 3/10 advantage is going to have to move it a little bit on this right side course, because Eric is on this faster left side course. Half a second faster for many drivers. We're going to see though if it's enough. He is back first by 3/10 of a second. Eric Campbell is going to take the victory over AJ in that Honda. So Eric Campbell taking the victory there by 3/10 of a second over AJ, and that BMW we will see in the next round against one of these two drivers. Griffith there in the E Street prepared Camaro. His dial in 31,256. Starter, we're ready. .566 reaction time for Pat in the Camaro. Rusty on the left side, 6:29. So two good lights, but Pat Griffith getting a half a tenth advantage with the better reaction time. Now he had to sit there in that ESP car and watch while Rusty took off in that Subaru running the D Street configuration. And Rusty is back first by 0.2 of a second. So Pat Griffith is going to need to make up 0.2 as Rusty in that Subaru gets back on the left side first by just 0.2 of a second. So we're going to see Rusty bringing that Subaru back up here on the right side with a 0.2 advantage over Pat in the Camaro. Jumped the lights. Rusty had a great light, a 5:11 reaction time, and Pat a 3:85. So just a little bit too much there for Pat. And Rusty, the automatic win after the red light for Griffith in that Camaro on the left side. So hard to concentrate just on your side of this tree, especially when the lights are coming down just slightly staggered. You got to concentrate just on your side and your light. One of the challenges here as we work through these challenge rounds, and we get ready for our next pairing. And here they are, C Street, I guess, on the left side there. For Mark Andy in that Mazda RX-8 32774. Sam Kraus in that E Street prepared Subaru 31,256. Starter, we're ready. Those drivers away at 8:09 for Sam and for Mark at 6:68. So what a battle we had in E Street prepared here this weekend. I mean, we had 5 of those drivers in the challenge. I mean, just amazing. 0.2 basically separating first to fifth in E Street prepared. Just an amazing drive by all of those competitors there in ESP. And Sam Kraus back way first over Mark Andy, 3.1 seconds. So Mark must have had a bit of a moment out there. I didn't see it. Maybe the tent was in the way, but Sam Kraus back first by almost 3.2 seconds as Mark Andy will now move over to that right side course, and he's got his work cut out for him. Mark Andy running that Mazda RX-8. He was your C Street winner, but now he's got 3.2 seconds to make up on Sam Kraus in the Subaru. Kraus a 767, Mark Andy a nice light 523, but Sam having the luxury of a 3-second advantage after their first runs. Mark Andy doing what you got to do, which is he throws down a really nice light. Sam just a nice conservative 767. Mark Andy gets back 0.2 with a better reaction time, but he's going to have to find 3 seconds out there on course. Not likely against Sam Kraus there in that Subaru. And in fact, Sam is back first. So Sam Kraus going to take the win there in the Subaru and move on to the next round. Well, here we are. We got our last two cars of the first 32 drivers. We got one more spot to fill in our top 16. It's going to be one of these two. Michael Moran on the left side. It's running the G Street version of the Toyota Celica. 33757, his dial in, and James Feinberg in the Audi on the right side. 32712. Starter, we're ready. A 732 for Feinberg, and for Moran on the left side 726, so pretty much equal on reaction times. Now Feinberg running the bump class in that D stock, so race tired version of the Audi TT. He finished second in that class by just a tenth of a second. Michael Moran, your winner of SF by a little over 2/10 of a second. Let's see how they come through the finish lights. Left side's back first at 1.073 seconds. So almost 1.1 is the advantage for Mike in the Toyota. 1.1 the advantage now for Moran as he moves over to the right side lane. And Feinberg will bring the Audi up on the left, needing to make up almost 1.1 seconds. Just with the better light, and he's on that left side course, which is at least a half a second faster. For many drivers, this could end up being very close. Moran had broken out on his first run on the left side by 2/10. Let's see what happens now. The left side's going to be back first. Is it enough? It is. In fact, Feinberg comes from behind to take the victory by 2/10 of a second. So Feinberg, the difference there, really the difference in reaction times, as Feinberg had the raw time plus the reaction time to